Recording in progress.
Okay, recording in progress. Let me get my stuff up. I'm definitely gonna edit this part. Okay. Welcome to Lower Hudson Valley's DSA Polyed event, Intro to DSA. My name is Jeffrey, he, him pronouns, and I will be the main speaker and hope to have a good time as we talk about democratic socialism and DSA as a whole. So first off, want to mainly do a, interact with the audience right now. Who wants to, and stack is open, who wants to guess what is, you can't talk about DSA without really just going through what is democratic socialism. So who here wants to attempt a definition? Anybody? Actually, you know what? I'm going to call on our chapter steering committee member, Jeremy. Go ahead. Do you want to make an attempt?
Um, it an attempt for the definition of democratic socialism. Um, let's call it establishing a true democracy of a society run for and by the working class.
All right, that's pretty good. A plus. That's right. Well, that's pretty much it. uh, really, outside of just some people who call themselves democratic socialists, democratic socialism really entails having the working class as a centrality in political action, thought, and process, and and especially, I know you cannot pinpoint one definition, right? You can't say there's like one true democratic socialist and like everyone else is fake. But I would say that definitely having the working class as a central part of it is that a component of that. And this quote by Eugene V. Debs, who I think is like the most one of the most important socialists and trade unionists in the U.S. that everybody should read. He has a very good quote that sums this up. He says, Socialism is merely an extension of the ideal of democracy into the economic field." And so, yeah, what else we have to ask ourselves is why do they feel the need to have this democracy, right, in the economic field, right? And right, so in other words, the democratic socialism has a centrality of saying that of a person who seeks the democratization of power within between workers and bosses, right? And why is that? Obviously, they see that the status quo is corrupt, unfair, and it cannot be resolved through pulling up your bootstraps, as conservatives would say. Now, if you want to find out why we democratic socialists focus on the working class so much, well, we have an upcoming event. I'm gonna share my screen right here. December 1st. December 1st at 7 p.m. Why the working class? I'm not going to tell you this answer right now because, that would be cheating. And I do not want to take away from my fellow comrade Claire's event. But yes, the socialists see the working class as essential to our political future. And really, as a whole, that really is really what the through line that connects everybody. And so I want people to understand that when we talk about DSA as a whole, it is multi-tendency. There's no like one train of thought within the org, just like any organization. But that is a centrality. That is central. All right, and so to talk about DSA. DSA itself isn't very long, very old. The organization has only existed about 40 years in 1982, and came about as a function of the merger of two organizations called the Democratic Socialist Organizing Committee, DSOC, which was formed as a part of a split from its parent organization, the Socialist Party of America, the SPA, and a New American Movement, NAM, which branded itself as a multi-tendency organization centered in both socialism and feminism. Along with the creation of DSA came its youth section, right? This youth section called Young Democratic Socialists of America, YDSA, primarily, and this is the case to this day, operates out of universities, colleges, and is a student-led organization. And during the initial merger of DSOC and NAM, YDSA was able to be a lot more active within the bounds of college campuses and universities, and also like outside events, much more so than the overall PAN organization as a whole. Now you might ask, like, why is that? Why was that the case? Well, a lot of it has to do mainly with the really intergenerational politics, and how Gen Z as a whole compared to the younger generations, millennials, I don't know, Gen X as a whole compared to their younger counterparts in millennials and Gen Z, were not primarily very amenable to socialist politics. And so our good friend, this is a poll I was showing people who came earlier, of a group that was funded by Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. Now, if you guess this is probably a Republican group, you are correct about that. And listen, this is actually a very good poll, like surprisingly good. And in it, even though they weren't trying to show it, they show a lot of the generational dynamics between who was amenable to communism and who wasn't. And in this particular poll, which is right here, we have a poll likelihood of voting for a Democratic Socialist. So here, what it should be noted, right? So light blue here is much more likely to vote for. Dark blue is somewhat. Gray is does not influence my decision. Light red is hesitant to vote for. Dark red is would never vote for. So as you see here, as you increase with the generations, comes like a significant increase in negativity towards voting for a Democratic Socialist candidate. And in particular, Gen X here, when you move from Gen Z to Gen X, it goes up by like 15%, and then afterwards it's like twofold, right? So imagine if 45% of a generation has a negative view of like voting for Democratic Socialists, you can kind of understand like why, as a whole, that generation did not really get absorbed into like DSA as a whole during this period of largely, I would say it's accurate to say, like political irrelevance from the merger in 1982 until 2016. Compared to, and I'm sure this is like no surprise, but not all boomers, but 53% have a negative view, and silent generation, that's just a wrap right there, towards a socialist candidate. And this was a dynamic we saw in a presidential primary that we're gonna talk about soon. And so DSA mainly it's PAN organization, it's not as active, and then YDSA it's mainly constricted to the campuses. But then something changed, right? And so what changed was mostly, and I'm sure everybody knows this was Bernie Sanders' presidential primary, in 2016. And this is really, in my opinion, when DSA as a whole really technically starts to like exist as a political player within electoral politics, and then like really influence as a whole. And so everybody knows 2016, Bernie Sanders comes onto the scene as an impromptu candidate to run on the Democratic Party line. He self-identifies as a Democratic Socialist. He's a senator from Vermont, and he's been in Senate politics for decades. And this impromptu run happens to be what I think is probably one of the most influential and important events in U.S. leftist American history, modern, at least in the modern age. And so from his run, unfortunately, he does not make the cut. But from just his run alone, he invigorated and really revitalized politics amongst largely millennial voters at an unprecedented rate, which also was seen by how in the 2016 primary, he had more younger people vote for him than both Hillary and Trump combined. And I should have looked up Hillary's approval with younger voters, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty low. Which, if anybody remember those days, yeah, that is not surprising. But from this, there was a downstream effect that really benefited DSA. Like right after Trump won the general election in 2016, membership grew significantly by 18%. 1,600 new dues-paying members joined DSA within a week of his win. DSA also got another bump in membership in 2018 with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez after she won her race against Crowley for Congress. And following that win, the next day, 1,512 new DSA members joined. And from 2016 to 2018, DSA as a whole went from 5,000 to 40,000 members. And once again, Bernie Sanders once again ran in 2020. DSA once again saw another bump in membership. And now the organization now stands around at around 75 to like 80,000. And so in regards to DSA structure, this is the DSA website, leadership and structure. Mainly, DSA is officially a 501c4, I believe, C3. It kind of has the same structure as many organizations, right? You have the general membership, and from the general membership is how each local chapter gets its like volunteer basis. There's a distinction between like membership and paper membership, people who have mainly, are dues paying but aren't like involved in regular activity within the org itself, and then the other active members who in part who are really make up the whole, are involved in the working groups, are in leadership positions, and really build up the structure of the organization itself. DSA mainly operates as like a decentralized format, with local chapters deciding, priorities within the confines of their like capacity. In the case of a centralized model, that occurs every 2 years at the DSA National Convention, in which delegates from each chapter get a designated number based on their total membership to come vote on resolutions created by the members throughout the country, and vote on resolutions, which are basically objectives that are seen that should be at the front of the national body. And so it's important to realize that DSA as a whole, I think is really defined by, and I think going back to this poll, and I think really politics as a whole today is like really undeniably defined by the role of how not only class politics as well, but also I think this is kind of tied in like generational politics is a very central theme here, and is a really I think is going to be the not going to be, but is really the central struggle in which DSA will need to navigate and really grow and really as a whole is this is not going to change. And so like I said before, there's no such thing as one true democratic socialist, but DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, I think everyone throughout the org, through the multiple tendencies, the multiple caucuses, which are political bodies that seek to have certain political perspectives, all see the working class as an essential part of the political struggle, and that is a commonality that will not change. All right, so this hilarious poll, I will definitely be giving this to everybody. It will be included within the YouTube description. This video is going to be uploaded as well as well as our the future polyed events that are coming within the week, within the next month, and. Thank you. We are going to end this recording of the presentation and move on to discussion. If you want to see the discussions, you have to come to the events live. And so try to free up your calendar. But outside of that, thank you for tuning in and have a nice day. And I will stop the recording and we will get to the fun stuff, people.